Jack Doherty is lying in a hospital bed with a broken collarbone, and this time his security team couldn't save him. The crash was so violent that doctors told him he was inches away from permanent paralysis. But what's even more shocking, he's already planning his next stunt. In this video, I'll show you the exact moment Jack's addiction to adrenaline nearly cost him everything, why his pattern of reckless behavior is worse than you think, and the disturbing truth about what's really driving him to risk his life over and over again. Just hours ago, Jack posted this shocking image on his X profile. He captioned it, "I got in the worst accident yet and broke my collarbone. Should I post the video?" At first, I thought this was just another one of Jack's attention grabs. The guy is known for exaggerating for views, but then he posted this hospital footage that confirms this crash was actually serious. You can clearly see Jack is in genuine pain here. This wasn't staged, this wasn't exaggerated. This was a legitimate, serious injury that could have been much worse. So what exactly happened? Jack was performing stunts on his dirt bike, the same kind of reckless behavior we've seen from him countless times before. But this time, he lost control and the results were catastrophic. Look at the impact. Look at how his body twists unnaturally. That's the exact moment his collarbone snapped. And if you listen closely, you can hear the panic in his friend's voice. They knew immediately this wasn't just another minor fall for content. But here's what makes this situation even more disturbing. This isn't an isolated incident. Jack's been on a dangerous downward spiral that's been accelerating at an alarming rate, and I'm starting to wonder if anyone in his circle is brave enough to step in before it's too late. To understand how we got here, we need to look at Jack's recent history of increasingly dangerous stunts. It's a pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. Just 2 months ago, Jack crashed his $200,000 McLaren in what could have been a fatal accident. The car was completely destroyed and his cameraman was bleeding from the head. But what was Jack's first instinct after this horrific crash? Was it to check if his friend was okay? Was it to call for help? No. His first words were, "Are you filming this?" That's right. Even with his friend bleeding beside him, Jack's primary concern was making sure the crash was captured for content. And how did Jack make amends with his injured cameraman? He bought him a jet ski. Not medical care, not therapy for the trauma, a jet ski. Because in Jack's world, everything has a price tag, including friendship and safety. What's even more disturbing is how Jack talked about the crash afterward. In interviews, he seemed more excited about the engagement the crash generated than concerned about the injuries or the destroyed vehicle. It's like watching someone who's completely disconnected from the reality of their actions. Then just weeks after the McLaren incident, Jack crashed his e-bike and injured his face. Notice how he immediately turns to the camera to show his injuries? Every accident, every injury, every near-death experience is just more content for Jack. It's a disturbing cycle that's only getting worse. What's particularly alarming is how each stunt is more dangerous than the last. It's like he's building a tolerance to risk, needing bigger, more dangerous stunts to get the same adrenaline rush. And now we're here, with Jack in a hospital bed with a broken collarbone that doctors say was just inches away from causing permanent nerve damage or paralysis. The progression is clear, from relatively minor stunts to crashing luxury cars to high-speed dirt bike accidents. Each time the stakes get higher, each time the injuries get worse, and each time Jack seems to learn absolutely nothing from the experience. But the most shocking part of all this, Jack's already planning his next stunt. That's right, from his hospital bed with his collarbone in pieces, he's already thinking about what dangerous thing he can do next for views. This isn't just reckless anymore, this is addiction. The internet's reaction to Jack's latest crash has been mixed, but the concern is growing. Let's look at some of the responses to his hospital post. One user wrote, "I really hope you move out of Florida. You're a menace to society. Hope you heal though, then get the hell out of Florida." Another said, "At least the cameraman is okay this time," referencing how Jack seemed more concerned about his content than his injured friend during the McLaren crash. But perhaps the most telling comment came from this user who wrote, "Yeah, broken collarbone, but completely fine. You're the stupidest motherfucker on the internet. You're the biggest clown. No content, a little salt boy." These comments reveal something important. People are starting to see through Jack's act. They're recognizing that these aren't just unfortunate accidents. They're the result of a deliberate pattern of increasingly dangerous behavior for the sake of views and engagement. Even Jack's fans are starting to question his decisions. One longtime supporter commented, "Bro, I love your content, but you need to chill before you actually kill yourself. This isn't worth it." What's particularly interesting is how the comments have evolved over time. After his first few stunts and minor accidents, the comments were mostly supportive, people cheering him on, encouraging him to go bigger and crazier. But now there's a noticeable shift. More and more people are expressing genuine concern, and some are even angry at Jack for continuing to put himself in danger. This shift in public opinion might be the only thing that could potentially get through to Jack. When your audience, the very people you're risking your life to entertain, start telling you to stop, that should be a wake-up call. But is Jack listening? All evidence points to no. In fact, his response to these concerns has been to double down, promising crazier content once he recovers. It's like watching someone spiral in real time, and nobody seems able to stop it. What's driving this behavior? Why would someone repeatedly put their life at risk for content? The answer might be more calculated than you think. Jack's behavior follows a classic pattern we've seen with many content creators who chase increasingly dangerous stunts. But in Jack's case, there are 3 specific factors making his situation particularly concerning. First, there's the addiction to attention itself. Every time Jack posts something shocking or dangerous, he gets a flood of engagement, comments, shares, new subscribers. This creates a dopamine hit that becomes increasingly difficult to achieve without escalating the danger. The human brain is wired to crave novelty and excitement. For content creators like Jack, each video needs to be more shocking than the last to maintain that dopamine response. It's the same mechanism that drives addiction to substances or gambling, the need for a bigger hit each time. Second, and perhaps more concerning, is that Jack's regular content isn't performing as well as it used to. Look at the view counts on his recent videos. His standard content is getting fewer views, while his crash and injury videos spike dramatically. The message his analytics are sending him is clear. The more danger he puts himself in, the more successful his content becomes. This creates a perverse incentive structure where Jack is literally being rewarded for putting himself in harm's way. Every time he gets injured, his viewership spikes. Every time he destroys something expensive, his engagement increases. The algorithm is essentially training him to take bigger and bigger risks. Third, there's the financial pressure. Jack has built an entire business around his content. He has a team to pay, a lifestyle to maintain, and expectations to meet. When regular content stops performing, the pressure to do something extreme increases exponentially. This creates a perfect storm where Jack's financial success, personal validation, and psychological reward systems all push him toward increasingly dangerous behavior. What makes this even more troubling is that Jack seems to understand exactly what he's doing. After his McLaren crash, he said something very revealing in a follow-up video. Did you catch that? He's explicitly acknowledging that the crash boosted his engagement. He's not just taking risks, he's calculating them, weighing the potential for injury against the guaranteed boost in views and engagement. This isn't just reckless behavior anymore. It's a business strategy, and it's one that could cost Jack his life if someone doesn't intervene soon. But Jack isn't the only creator following this dangerous path. There's another story that parallels Jack's in disturbing ways: the case of Colton Wood. Speaking of content creators who can't stop pushing boundaries for attention, I have an update on Colton Wood, the YouTuber who threatened a 911 operator and got arrested immediately. Since my video on him 2 weeks ago, things have escalated dramatically. Not only did a Tozy pick up the story and make a video exposing him to an even wider audience, but Colton has been arrested again, this time for making a bomb threat. The charges are serious: felony bomb threat and misdemeanor annoying phone calls to 911. This isn't just internet drama anymore. These are real crimes with real consequences. What's particularly disturbing about Colton's case is how quickly things escalated. He went from making inappropriate calls to 911 to allegedly making bomb threats in a matter of weeks. The need for more extreme content, more attention, and more engagement pushed him to cross lines that could now result in significant jail time. This is what happens when the addiction to attention spirals completely out of control. Colton, like Jack, found that extreme behavior got him views. But unlike Jack's physical stunts, Colton's escalation took the form of increasingly serious crimes. The pattern is identical. Normal content stops getting attention, creator does something extreme, gets rewarded with views, and then has to do something even more extreme next time to get the same response. It's a vicious cycle that rarely ends well. For Colton, it's ended with multiple arrests and potential serious jail time. For Jack, it could end with something far worse if he continues on this path. What's particularly troubling about both cases is how the YouTube algorithm itself might be encouraging this behavior. Videos with shocking thumbnails and titles about crashes, injuries, and arrests tend to perform better. The system rewards extremity, and creators like Jack and Colton are simply responding to those incentives, often at great personal cost. But where does this road ultimately lead? For Jack Doherty, the future looks increasingly concerning. Jack Doherty is at a crossroads. With each accident, he's pushing closer to a point of no return. The broken collarbone he's suffering from now could have easily been a broken neck. The next crash might not end with a hospital visit. It might end with something far more permanent. What's most concerning is that Jack seems incapable of recognizing the severity of his situation. From his hospital bed with his collarbone in pieces, he's already thinking about his next stunt. This isn't the behavior of someone who's learned their lesson. It's the behavior of someone caught in a dangerous cycle they can't escape. The people around Jack, his friends, his team, his security, seem either unwilling or unable to intervene. They've become enablers in a system that prioritizes content over safety, views over well-being, and engagement over everything else. This is the dark reality of content creation in 2024. The pressure to constantly outdo yourself, to always go bigger, to constantly shock and surprise your audience. It's creating an environment where creators like Jack feel they have no choice but to put themselves in increasingly dangerous situations. And the truly tragic part? The platform itself rewards this behavior. YouTube's algorithm doesn't care if Jack is safe. It doesn't care if he's making responsible decisions. All it cares about is engagement, and dangerous, shocking content drives engagement like nothing else. Jack's story is becoming a cautionary tale about the dark side of content creation, where the pressure to perform and entertain can push creators to literally risk their lives for views. It's a system that's fundamentally broken, rewarding the most extreme, the most shocking, and the most dangerous content. Unless something changes, unless Jack makes a conscious decision to break this cycle or the people around him finally step in, I fear we're watching the slow motion destruction of a young man's life for the sake of content. The question isn't whether Jack will crash again, it's how bad the next crash will be and whether he'll walk away from it. For someone who's built his entire identity around pushing boundaries, the ultimate boundary, the one between life and death, may prove too tempting not to test. If you thought this crash was shocking, wait until you see what happens in this next video. The clips you're about to watch will leave you speechless.